Okay, what's up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing good. As always, guys, bunch of markets to get through. Any requests, any pairs you're looking at, feel free to drop it in the chat and we can discuss. If you are enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. All of that does really help. I do really appreciate it. But we just had the yen interest rates actually earlier this morning. Let me get it up on the calendar, but the yen pairs are looking very, very bullish right now. Looks like the weakness in the yen is still persisting. And yeah, they did increase rates. So because of that, nothing's changed. It's basically business as usual. The trend's still up, still looking to follow that. The key kind of situation was, okay, they're increasing rates, potentially might see the yen pairs start to weaken. Maybe the trend potentially ends. That could have been a situation. Or, of course, the trend does continue. Now that we've kind of seen that happen, seen momentum here, the buying opportunities still stand. And looking for pullbacks is going to be the best play here. So we're seeing a lot of strength. You can see Euro Yen closing very strongly to highs. Aussie CAD, again, all of them are showing very, very similar signals there. Of course, you're going to be wanting price to retrace and have a good pullback. What's up, Abenenza? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Good morning to yourself. And of course, everyone on the stream. But yeah, we need some pullback. So there's not much we can do this unless you anticipated the news and you were in the trade beforehand. Congratulations. But if you're looking to get involved, we need to see some pullbacks. In terms of the yen basket, which again is looking pretty bearish here, we still not quite have tested these lows or potentially even taken out the lows, because I do think price is still likely to go and see that. I still do think there's more downside to incur for the yen based on market structure, based on what we're seeing with the yen basket. So because of that, these yen pairs still do look like they've got more room to the upside. And of course, potentially fundamentally, they've got that backing as well for whatever reason. CAD yen, we've still got highs over here. Price is going to retest. New Zealand yen, we've still got highs over there. We could retest. Even these highs are in contention. Aussie yen, we've got the highs up there. We potentially going to attack. In terms of Swiss yen, that's already at all-time highs. So there's not much to speak about apart from like big psychological levels. You got 200, that's a big one. Again, potentially prices drifting towards there. Dollar yen, you got this high and you got this high, potential targets as well. Pound yen, again, is taking out some major highs. So I'm not necessarily super bullish on this one to keep buying, especially if you come back to some areas on the left there. Doesn't mean we can't go higher, but I just think with the other yen pairs, we've still got room to the upside just based on simply market structure. So New Zealand yen want to focus on, dollar yen want to focus on, CAD yen and Aussie. Euro again taking out some crazy highs. We've got one over here that dates all the way back to 1990, believe it or not. So we are at some crazy prices, but again, the key thing about trading is being reactionary to what the market's giving us, which is still a bullish trend. So just looking to follow that, to be honest. What is up? Suicide? Dragos, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Definitely said that wrong, but I hope you're well. Check BTC, we need a bias. Okay. Again, trade's not about forcing a bias, my man. If there is no bias, if something's not clear, then it doesn't deserve a bias. Again, you don't want to take a trade just to take a trade, because at the end of the day, you're just going to give money away to the markets, and there's no point doing that. Yes, we can take a look at dollar CAD. Mark, no problem. Andreas, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. LTJ, what was the BOJ decision? It was to increase rates. It went up from 0.5 to 0.75 as anticipated. So naturally, again, you're expecting a bullish reaction from the yen there, but we're getting a bearish one, and the trend is still looking healthy. So because of that, still continuation. I mean, I haven't listened to any press conferences or any speeches from the Bank of Japan, so I don't know what they're saying, but whatever's happening right now is definitely bullish for the yen at the moment. Abenenza, why was pound yen had this much push? Well, we just had that the rate decision, which, like I said, the rates went up. Typically, not necessarily a bullish catalyst for the yen pairs. It should imply yen strength naturally. So you should see the yen pairs start to move down. from a general sense, but like I said, the markets are not necessarily general, are they? And like I said, I haven't listened to any speeches or seen any kind of statements or notes of what Bank of Japan has said. But whatever's happened, the market is reacting very bullish to that. That is the clear and the main situation we need to focus on. Not necessarily too much on the why, because price will tell us if things are going to change. But definitely for now, we've had a bit of a catalyst, and that's injected some momentum to the upside. I'll go take a look at BTC regardless, though. What's up, Bashi, my man? Hope you're doing well. Welcome to the stream. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, drop a like, share, subscribe. All of that does really help out. I do really appreciate it. And of course, ask any questions, chart recommendations in the chat, and we can take a look. H price action today, so cut the stream early. Well, yeah, I mean, if the market structure is not providing much opportunity, then there's not much point, is there? So I do not blame you, my man. I do not blame you. Was it because Japan are having stagnation potentially? Again, I haven't looked into it, to be honest, Abanenza. I've just seen what the rate decision was, and yeah, the market is extraordinarily bullish to that. Again, you don't necessarily need to know why the market is bullish, because whether you know why or not, if you're in the right trade, you're in the right trade in terms of the direction. So you still get paid just as much as the person who potentially has an idea of why the market is bullish. The key situation is how you position yourself in the market and your timing. If you can get that down, you're good to go. Of course, from a fundamental perspective, it's ideal to know what's going on. But even with that, you could potentially come to a conclusion of why the market is bullish, but that might not be the right conclusion as well. So there's that situation too. The most important thing is what the chart is doing, what price is doing, and price is still very much an uptrend. So that's the most important piece of information for me anyway. With BTC, so like I said, if there's nothing there, don't force a bias. You're just wasting your time and money. In terms of Bitcoin, like I said, we're testing a very key zone, which I do think we can reverse from. We haven't seen any evidence of that happening yet, which is what I'm waiting for. So that would be like a strong weekly bullish engulfing candle showing us momentum to the upside. That would be something, basically what happened over here. If we can kind of mimic that again, then of course, that would be a strong signal, which would most likely at least take us back here. It doesn't necessarily guarantee back to highs or higher highs, but at least back to the next kind of big zone where potentially we could see some volume come back into the market, which might take us back down. We might break through. We have to wait and see. But we are testing a very critical area. And I would say if we break through this, doesn't necessarily mean BTC is now suddenly very bearish. There's still levels below us, which we could test. But the fact that we're not holding these structures is a bit of a warning sign for BTC longer term. We could be entering a much bigger bear cycle than originally anticipated, but we are testing that level for now. So keep that in the back of our minds. We're not necessarily using it just yet because price isn't reacting to it, or at least expansively it's reacting because it's holding, but we're not seeing much upside from it. Basically, BTC is in a bit of a consolidation on the daily chart, so not a lot to do there apart from buy low, sell high, really. Yeah, price action is just very, very choppy right now. We've got this low here, which price is struggling to come back and revisit. Looks like price is just about holding on to this low. Would I be looking to buy from here? Like I said, no, there's no, because essentially if I'm looking to buy, I'm saying that I don't believe this trend's still going to continue, and that could be the case, but I don't have strong evidence to say that's not the case. So again, if I'm looking to buy BTC, I want the price to effectively break out of this, show momentum, and then I look for the pullbacks after. Then I can say, yeah, I don't think price is going to continue low anymore. I've seen enough evidence to support we are likely to continue higher. Then I can take some pullbacks and bullish setups. At the moment, if we do see an up move back into resistance, shorts are still the best play. You can see price has been sweeping to these lows. We've been witnessing this over the past couple of weeks. We've been talking about this on the weekly analysis as well. Every time price reaches resistance, we do still have that selling pressure coming in. So equally, if you do make another move and we see rejection as well, that's the important thing. It's not that price is there, so just sell. It has to reject too. And then, yeah, you most likely, again, going to see another reaction down. So we got consolidation. Best way to trade consolidation is short highs, buy lows. In this case, I would prioritize shorting because we've got that momentum. Yeah, the only way I see a long-term a swing bullish setup would be a breakout. Otherwise, I'm not seeing anything. Yeah, ridiculous moves. GJ up 1%, 200 pips. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of expansive moves here for the yen pairs. GJ 1.8, 1.08, Euro 1.03, Aussie 1.02. So a lot of these yen pairs up 1% in the space of just a few hours. So crazy, crazy moves there. No problem, Abinenza. Happy to help. Yes, Mark, we can take a look at dollar CAD as well. No problem. Forgot about your early chat. Apologies. We can definitely take a look at dollar CAD. Philip, what's up? Hope you're well. Dollar yen made me smile today. Gave me an early Christmas. Nice. Flower candle of pound CHF formed a head and shoulder pattern with breaking the neckline to short. What's your bias? Okay, yeah, we'll go through pound Swiss as well. Yeah, dollar yen is anyone buying the yen is having a bit of an early Christmas. Doesn't really matter which yen pair it is at this rate. They're all looking absolutely bullish. News maybe to go down 5%. Always do the opposite. Yeah, I mean, if it works, keep at it. I'm always a big believer that if you do have a situation, a context in the market, and it is working recently very well, keep leaning into that until proven otherwise. Because the market goes in, waves and peaks and troughs. Some things will work well at a period of time, then it might not be so effective. Then it will become, very effective again. If you're in that certain wave where a situation like that is producing great results, lean into that until the market tells you not to. Let's go through dollar CAD. So yeah, dollar CAD, I'm very short biased on this one on the higher time frame. I'm very much looking for a bigger pullback before I sell. So I've still got at least maybe a week's worth of retracement before I do take any swing shorts on this one. I'm still looking to see if we can revisit this low at 1.35391. So I'm still super bullish. Price failed to maintain these highs on the left here. We had some nice bullish structure, which has now collapsed, breaking that low very aggressively. That's a key characteristic. It's not a break of structure like a slight while in price reverse. It's price commandingly breaking through. So I now do expect to see retracement and more downside. And basically, this is my zone where I'm looking to see if I can get a short and get some sales at least back to support here. But I do expect trend continuation, especially because I'm looking at this move just continuing as well. So yeah, dollar CAD, I'm pretty short. Short bias with this one. Of course, that's more of a swing. We could easily see some meaningful upside intraday, and there could be some short-term longs off the back of that. If we study the price action in the lower time frames, so basically, it looks like price, of course, is still currently bearish. It looks like we're kind of caught in a bit of a consolidation, which price faked lower. I think this was off the back of NFP on Tuesday. So we've been in a bit of consolidation. Price tried to break lower, failed. Now it's back within the range. So if you are looking at longs, you want to see a strong kind of concrete breakout of this, which doesn't say much necessarily because you still got some overhead resistance supply, which could easily still send us back down. If you are taking longs in this situation, you are playing counter trend here. Momentum on the higher time frames is against you. So no matter what buy trade you have here, you always have to factor that in. But to be honest, if we are going to retrace, that's what I would expect to happen. Breakout, pullback, retest. If you can hold that well, there can be some nice upside temporarily, back into areas of value. And if you reject that well, I do see us falling back down again. So dollar CAD looks like it's gearing up for some retracement, but I wouldn't get ready for some buys yet until I see some commanding breakouts. A lot of USD pairs are in a similar situation, I feel. We can take a deeper look into that shortly. I'll go through pound CHF. So Philip said he is looking for some flat here, the head and the right shoulder there as well. And of course, that kind of would be your neckline. And the key thing of this pattern is that you align with the higher time frame bias naturally. So you just have that natural confirmation for the trade, not confirmation, but confluence for the trade that if the trend's going to continue, well, there's a good probability that head and shoulder pattern will show some conviction as well. So yeah, I would agree with that. I agree with that. It again does depend how you break structure. You don't want it to be slight. You do want it to be kind of decisive. If you can see like a bearish leg, maybe similar to this leg, if I can kind of clone that, if you can get something like that, yeah, that's a statement to say, okay, yeah, the bear's fully taking control of this. Your next pullback becomes even higher probability, and the odds of the trend continuing, even from a high time frame kind of perspective, really does justify the trade here, and you probably allow for pretty big risk reward if you're going to target the lows there too. So yeah, pound CHF, I do agree with that, especially if you do see a commanding break of that. That would really be the confirmation to say, okay, yeah, sellers in control. This looks to be a lower high in comparison to that. Therefore, I would expect to push back to lows. So yeah, I would agree with that take there, Philip. What's up, Diablo? Perspective of 1 hour and 50-minute time frame on BTC. A lot of people talking about BTC these days. Yeah, we can take a look at that as well. It looks very messy down there, but we can have a look. See. Good morning, Alex. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Anime, what's up? I enter the buy on pound USD in the 15 time frame. Hope everything goes as planned. Don't we all, man? Don't we all? We can take a look at pound USD in the 15 as well. I am still bullish intraday for both pound, euro, DXY. Even we can take a look. I still do think USD weakness is still the main play at the moment. So I definitely agree with the bias, but we'll go take a look at the price action. Yes, we can take a look at oil, BTC, and US30 as well. We'll go through BTC next, and then we'll go through pound, and I'll take a look at oil and indices as well. So in terms of Bitcoin, as I mentioned, higher time frame is just very flat because of where we're trading. It will come back to a very serious area of value, which is this swing low on the weekly chart, which could give us the expansion higher, but we have no evidence to support that yet, apart from price stalling. It's still kind of 50-50 whether the price breaks or expands higher. So in terms of higher time frame direction, yes, we do have an uptrend here, but it's not in play at the moment. We're still in this bearish retracement. No one knows necessarily how far that retracement is going to go. If you can expand higher, then okay, bullish higher time frame trend back in play, so on and so forth. You can start to look for pullbacks and a lot higher prices. At the moment, again, we're still very flat, so I don't see any real opportunity on the 4-hour chart other than selling highs. As you can see, every time price does come back to highs, we do struggle, come back down, provided we do see some rejection. So if we do see another run back to highs, some wicks start to form, I still do expect to move lower. If we do see a commanding breakout, of course, that's something else. But if we fail at highs again, this bearish trend to me still looks in full play. So nothing has really changed from that narrative. So yeah, if you're looking for swing 4-hour, 95, 94, 95K is where I see value. Anything shorting here, I think you're just a little bit too early. You're coming back into areas of demand. Not necessarily that I expect it to hold, but it's just not an ideal place for a short. In terms of like intraday for BTC, very, very volatile, very messy here. I can't lie. Look at that, crazy moves from BTC. Last time we had a look at BTC, I believe we were over here, weren't we? Yeah, we had this consolidation. Price came back to retest it. We had the second retest. Actually provided a very expansive move. That's one thing Bitcoin is or crypto in general has the advantage over FX pairs, even indices, is that you get these kind of violent moves potentially if you do get the market right. So risk reward could actually be quite large. Of course, it could go against you too. So you need to make sure you manage risk. But anyway, since then, in the market's respect to the zone, we did break through eventually with this move here as well. So it looks to me that sellers in this leg are still in control. You can see every time price comes back into a range, we come back, respect it. We've got a range over here, come back, respect it. Had another range over there, come back, respect it. So price is showing bearish structure and respecting bearish highs. And at the moment, we are pushing back into another one. And that could, again, provide us another reaction lower. In terms of entries, we are looking quite bullish here, but we are starting to stagnate, which is a good sign. Again, this is not really how I enter trades. I like my pullbacks to be a little bit more relaxed. This is quite a violent up up move. Typically, I like my pullbacks to look something like this. So they're quite flat, which implies that momentum is still up, that the pullback is quite shallow. It's not really showing much momentum to the downside, indicating that the bears are not really coming in play. So I therefore expect continuation. If I have an impulse like this and then the market comes down with like a really aggressive retracement, then the probability of price continuing is less categorically. Doesn't mean it won't, it just is less. But again, this is more tailored to FX because that's where I focus and that's where most of my research and my trading is. So that's where most of my knowledge comes from. The characteristics of crypto is a little bit more volatile. So I have to kind of take that with a pinch of salt there. So because of that, this still looks like a valid place for a short. It just looks super aggressive because I'm seeing this aggressive buying pressure come in, and that would put me off selling, I think, just instinctively. What would be nice would be like a really serious rejection on the 15. So like we see like a very commanding bearish engulfing candle kind of engulfing all of this. That would be a nice entry. Or if you really want to get surgical and drop even lower, let's say if this consolidation does continue to range, and then we see a commanding break lower, then this is an area which you could look for retest for more of a pinpoint entry, maybe like a 5-minute, and then you can base your trade there, stops above the high, and then you've got your swing. So that way you kind of maximize your risk to reward. But still, I'm not the biggest fan of this pullback. It's quite aggressive. But the shorts stay relevant as long as we maintain these highs. So from a 50-minute perspective, intraday, I would be bearish. For me to be bullish or at least neutral, we need to break the high there. If we do that, then it will invalidate the bias. So hopefully that made sense there. Again, not a big fan of the market structure. It's really volatile. But there is some structure there which price is maintaining, which we can take and use to our advantage. Anywho, we'll take a look at pound USD, and then I'll go through oil and US30 as well. So yeah, pound USD, where is pound USD? Where is yeah, it's on the watch list. So yeah, I actually like pound USD to the upside. I don't have a buy opportunity for myself just yet, but I'm looking at some short-term intraday buys. I still do think higher time frame I have to be careful with the buys because we are coming back in a lot of noise. Our last swing here brought us a swing low. So, looking for intraday buys, I still think is a good play, but it's not like I'm looking for, a ginormous swing. It's okay. The market structure is currently bullish. We can probably squeeze it a bit more to the upside, but this move here is still on the cards. It's not guaranteed to happen, but it's still definitely on the cards. So yeah, because of that, I want to drop to like maybe a 2-hour chart for some entries. I like what price is doing at the moment. It's still respecting bullish areas of demand. Areas of demand are bullish, aren't they? We're still respecting areas of demand, which is the key principle, even despite this crazy sell-off we had off the back of NFP, which I would imagine would have invited a lot of panic sellers into the market and simultaneously taken out some early buys underneath this low. So as we've had that, price is now recovered. It's still not creating new highs, which is not necessarily doesn't necessarily mean we're bearish, because for us to be bearish, I would expect this move to have continued lower. The fact that it didn't speaks a lot because we had a lot of volume there, which completely dissipated and price just pushed back up. So that's a strong sign to say buyers are still in control. It's just be careful at resistance. We can still very much roll back over. So what I'm looking at personally, which is an opportunity which might or might not happen, which is another push back to the low here. I'd like to see if I can find a buy further away from resistance, closer to this demand zone, closer to that low, and then see if I can swing it back to highs and maybe further too. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for pound, which I said, we might not get the pullback. Maybe price is already, bullish and has enough buys to keep pushing higher. In terms on the 15-minute chart, yeah, 15-minute chart, again, it goes back to the pullback I don't like. I don't like this move here. I like my pullbacks to be a little bit flatter, kind of like a channel almost, and I'm expecting price to continue higher. If it's like this and then has like a really drop there. Again, it's not to say we won't continue higher. It's just from my research, when it's shallow, it's got better probability. So for that reason, that would put me off, and I would be careful with the buys here as well. I think as we come back to these areas, even this high, this could be a nice area to potentially book some partials, maybe trade a stop a little bit. I don't think just because we had aggressive pullback doesn't mean we're not going to go higher. It just means the quality of the pullback is not as high as it could be. Market structure still up, buyers still in control. So I do still fancy us to do this. There's no selling pressure or any significant bearish structure that says otherwise. Therefore, I do still expect price to move in the path of least resistance, which is higher. But because of that, that is a slight warning sign. So yeah, as we come back to 1.34, that's a smart area to take some partials. And of course, you got the high, which I figure might be your probably your target for the trade. So yeah, I do agree there. This is where I'm looking. We might get a push there, we might not. If we do, you can always look for re-entries with a more favorable risk reward as well. But yeah, we are still putting the higher lows in. So pound does look pretty good still. We'll take a look at oil, and I'll go through is Dow Jones. Yeah, we'll take a look at US 30 as well. I'll be careful. That's the aim of the game, my man. That's the aim of the game. As long as you're careful, worst case that happens, you take a measured loss. That's the worst case, which is the price of doing business. Raphael, okay, yep, DAX, US 30, longs at 1 hour. Okay, we'll have a look-see first. Let me go through oil. So oil's still looking very bearish. It's cracked through the lows. We've had a slight bounce. When was that? That was Wednesday, I think. Yeah, Wednesday, bullish candle. But it hasn't really done anything. The market is still pointing down. If I go to the higher time frames, weekly, monthly, yeah, we're still pointing down. Where's the next area of value for this one? Well, you definitely got the lows down here price can come back into, which kind of lines up very well with support. I wouldn't be surprised if we are going there, to be honest, because effectively we do have a range. Price is basically trapped between these two levels. You had a considerate reaction there. Next major area value would be around 40.30. And as long as we maintain these lower highs, well, that's likely where we're headed to. So oil to me still looks pretty bearish. Would I be looking to short now? No, because we've just gone taking out the lows. I need price to pull back now. Could you be looking for some counter trend buys? Possibly, but again, a bit aggressive. Higher time frames are pointing down. Is it worth the risk? Maybe you say it is, maybe you say it's not. I personally wouldn't. So because of that, I would just be like neutral now for oil. I know I'm bearish. I know I'm looking for short setups, but I do need to see a bit of a counter trend start to form to allow me to get some selling opportunities. So until I see that larger pullback, there's nothing really there to do. Maybe we continue falling, so be it, but I need that bigger pullback. So oil still very bearish. Generally speaking, I like this area here. That's like our last leg up before push down. It would be nice to see a pullback anywhere between 58.5, 60. Yeah, that's really where my focus would be. But because of where we're trading, I just think the shorts are just a little bit too late now, and the buyers are just a bit too aggressive. So therefore, I don't see much opportunity. In terms of US 30, so US 30, last time I checked, still looking bullish, and that is still the case. We are coming back into some interesting areas now where we could see some upside. Of course, this was our prior all-time high. We took out the high. Now we've been in a very corrected move down. So that's one thing to take into account. It's not like we dropped heavily like we did over here. You can see price swept the high and then absolutely tanked. That's a red flag. Here is a lot more corrective. So naturally, you're expecting price to expand higher, back to highs, and so on and so forth. Now we are creeping back into some areas of value. You can see you had a consolidation here that ripped the upside. Price is now coming back into that same zone. So in terms of entries, in terms of opportunities, this is definitely a smart place for a lot. Now let me drop a little bit lower. Okay, I like how price is trading. I like where price is trading as well. We've got this zone just below, which price looks like it's using to its benefit as well. The only problem with this buy trade is that you have a lot of obstacles in your way. Despite we've been very corrective on the way down, all of these highs are going to be areas where we could see sellers come back into the market and potentially drive price against you. So the best location for a buy is as price sweeps the low, because you can see every time price sweeps the low, we quickly reclaim the low and we see an expansive move up. You can see we dip below the low, expansive move up as well. So I would say you're probably even late to this buy entry here. I would want to see price probably move down again, take out that low, reclaim it. That would be my entry. And then I'll be careful at resistance here. That could be an area for partials. If you do get an expansive break, well, you're looking good at that point. You can hold the rest back to highs. If you do start to struggle and come back down, you can probably manage to trail stops maybe and get away with a small win. But the idea is to look to buy here. There's no selling pressure that says otherwise. There's no break of structure of significance here. Yes, I know we're all-time highs, but the indices mostly are all-time highs, aren't they? So yeah, still very much bullish here. If you're looking for a buy, I'd wait for another sweep with a low and then look for some entries. But of course, keep an eye on that resistance above that. Is some dangerous territory. But you naturally expect it to break though, because you expect the dominant trend to win. Therefore, you can still take the trade and expect the break. Just be careful if it doesn't. If it's given some wicks and some rejection, that's your sign to kind of back away. In terms of the DAX, DAX hasn't actually kept too much faith, that's just the wrong word completely, too much attention on the DAX. I don't know why I said faith. Maybe because the price action is very, very sideways. I would still going to be bullish on this one. It's just we are in a large range here. So I'm not seeing, great opportunities. You can find opportunities, but you're not going to find great opportunities, especially if you're looking for continuation trades, trend trades, not the best in ranging conditions, just because the conditions are not favorable. So any kind of trend continuation trade you take is obviously just going to be less probability. But I like how price is moving. I can't say otherwise. We've swept some important lows here, and then price used that to now see this expansion of momentum. So it looks like price has taken the necessary volume we need to actually see continuation. It looks to me that price has put in another higher low here. So I would be betting on another push back to this high. And a great way to take advantage of that is to scale to the lower time frames to really maximize that risk reward, because now we're breaking structure and we're doing it with some expansion as well. It's not like a slight break of structure. We did have a slight break of structure here, but we had a pullback and now we're still seeing more follow through, which is a good sign. If we had a slight pullback and then we just start to come back down, that's a bad flag. Bad flag, red flag. Get my words mixed up today. Anywho, buys look good here for the DAX. So essentially what I'd be wanting to see now is a correction. So maybe like a flag, 1, 2, and then you get your entry on the recovery, and then you're looking for the expansion there. So that's your flag pattern. Potentially even a retest of that demand zone beneath us. That would be a great confluence for the trade, especially if you wick through the low into the zone and then recover. And the naturally target is back to the prior high, but you can definitely leave a good proportion to try and swing it back to the higher time frame higher there as well, because you've got a good bet that is going to be the next higher low. So if that is going to be the next higher low, you expect the next higher high. Therefore, you have that incentive to hold into the trade further. So yeah, DAX, I like the buys. I like the buys a lot, even more so than US 30. Even more so, it's a lot cleaner. So yeah, DAX looking pretty bullish. What's up, Tony Gold? Hope you're doing good. Welcome to the stream, my man. Hope you're well. Good to see you as well. Good to see you. It's been some time, hasn't it? What's up, GPJ? It has been a while. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Welcome, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well as well. If you are enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like. It does really help out the channel. Subscribe, share it with your friends. All of that is very much appreciated. Of course, if you do have any requests, any pairs you're looking at, stick it in the chart and we can definitely take a look. Again, I do have a bit of a sizable watch list at the moment, a few pairs which I'm interested in. I did get taken out of break even actually this morning on Aussie New Zealand dollar. I had some shorts over here. I was looking for a swing back to these lows at the very least here, but we didn't see that follow through. We did get a nice kind of break through these lows here. but just reluctancy just to really expand. And actually at that point when we got the break of structures, when I did remove risk, and then yeah, this kind of was literally just taking me out the trade. So with Aussie New Zealand dollar, I still like the context of things. The reason why I'm short is a lot to do with the higher time frame where we're positioned. It's a very choppy pair, and you can see we've just swept major monthly highs, especially with this pin bar for last month's candle. So naturally, I'm bearish and I'm looking for shorts. And another reason why I'm looking for shorts is because if I can swing this, there's a lot of room to the downside. The only bad thing is I will be paying swaps, so I have to take that into consideration. But yeah, we didn't really see any expansion lower. So that tells me that price is probably now likely to go and take out these highs. But now my next question is price going to take out these highs with, with deliverance? Is price going to take out these highs to create structure higher? Or is price going to take out these highs just to have one last run before we do roll over? If I can see the characteristics that do shape up for a short, that for me is just another entry to get back involved with the trade, because all I'm looking for is a continuation of this bearish structure here. So you got high, low, and I'm looking for the next high, which of course I anticipated it to be this high, but it looks like that's not the case. So with this failed move lower, we're likely now to go and run this high here. So depending how we do that will then shape up a trade idea or not. If we completely break through, momentum looks really, really strong, then of course I'll back away at that point. But let's say if we do something similar here, because basically that was the same trade here. We had a very strong candle. It just wicked through that high pullback there, and that was my entry for the trade. If we could do something similar here, that'd be great. Another big wick. Yeah, I'll be looking for the same sell. So I'm keeping Aussie New Zealand dollar on the watch list because I like the shorts there. We spoke about pound USD briefly. I'm very bullish on this one as well. Like I said, I'm looking for some longs a little bit lower down. So around 1.33126 is where I'm looking for my buys. I like the way price is still respecting key demand. We are failing at highs here, so that is a bit of a worry and why I want to buy a little bit deeper. So I'm not, into the headwind there. But you can see that every time that price does take a low here, we do expand higher, take a low, do expand higher. So if you can push back to this low, reject it as well, I do expect us to expand higher. If we break through this, yeah, that's a warning sign. Not even a warning sign. That's just a sign just to not look for buys at that point. Not necessarily look for sells because there's still these areas which we could still potentially push into and see more upside. So it's not a signal to start selling. It's just a signal for me to stop looking for buys. So yeah, this is where I'm focused on for pound. I like euro as well. Basically the same setup. So if I do get into euro first, then I'll ignore pound. Or if I don't get into euro, then I'll take pound USD. But again, the reason why I like euro, again, if you expand to the higher time frames, you still do have bullish structure. This is our most recent swing high on the daily. That's the most recent swing low. Has price basically had an adequate pullback to now see a push back to highs potentially. What we do have supporting that idea is that price is now breaking through structure here and seeing higher lows. Well, that's going to continue. We have a reason to believe we could still expect more upside. So I like what I'm seeing with euro. There is some resistance overheads, which I'm being skeptical of. But if we drop to the 4-hour chart, you can see the retracement is still very slow, very shallow, not really seeing much bearish pressure. So I'm looking at this zone just floating below us, or even this area here just floating below that, to see if I can find some entries to take this back to highs. And then the idea is to remove risk at that point and see if I can take it back to the daily, weekly highs there as well. So yeah, risk reward on this one looks even better than pound, because pound, if you look at the recent structures for pound USD, we're actually putting in some lower highs here, lower high and lower low. Again, doesn't necessarily mean we're guaranteed to put another low high and push down, but you do have that natural obstacle in your way, which is why I want to keep euro pound a bit more short term. Looking at euro, however, structure is still pointing up on the daily, so we do have less resistance to deal with. So this is probably the better trade for distance. So that's kind of where the focus is at the moment, and we're not too far away from entry. So I think this would be a setup maybe for like Monday or Tuesday next week. I think Friday was starting to slow down a little bit, and I'm not too sure if we're going to see that price expand well. I don't know. Maybe we might do something in the New York session. We'll see. But that is definitely what I'm looking at for Euro. Anime currently I'm on down $13. Well, again, just manage the risk, my man. If you pre-plan the risk for the trade, you respect the risk. And again, if it's a loser, it's just another data point where you can learn from and keep going. You're not going to get into a trade with 100% certainty that you're going to win it. Of course, you get into a trade with a bit of confidence. Otherwise, why would you take the trade? But you fully understand that it could very much fail, and that's why you manage your risk. So again, try not to focus on the money side of things, because that's a big distraction from the chart. Because the reason why you took the trade was not because of the potential, monetary gain. The reason you took the trade is because you expect price to go higher. So still keep your eyes on the price. If it hasn't reached your invalidation point, your stop loss trade still valid. Focus on that. Of course, easier said than done, but something to definitely work towards. Whether you're down $13 or $13,000, of course, big difference, but still it's the same trade. You're still trading price, so make sure your focus is there. Anyway, a few more of the pairs I'm gonna watch this. Euro Aussie as well. Definitely have this one on the watch list for some longs. We've been super tied to the downside, but I'm looking at this as a big flag pattern for an expansion higher. I was actually pretty bearish on Euro Aussie, but after I saw the failure for price to expand, which is the move here, that has made me now bullish and expecting continuation. Because we had a lot of failure to continue higher. We had this high, failed to continue. We had this high, failed to continue. And this high, failed to continue. So that's a sign to say, okay, buyers are running out of steam. Potentially we're looking to roll over, which is true, but only if we can see price deliver expansion lower. A lot of people make the mistake with trend reversals. They just look for price to start to struggle, and they say, okay, yeah, price is probably going to fall, which is true. But most of the time, unless it really does expand lower, it's most likely price just get ready to pull back deeper to then continue. Price is allowed to tire. It's allowed to kind of find its feet again before continuing. You don't want to confuse a tired trend with a trend that's about to reverse, because tired trend just goes to collect more buys before it continues, or sellers if it's down. And the way price broke structure was telling to that. If we broke this low and really dropped, then yeah, we probably got reversal. This could be somewhat of a top, or that's a top, and then you expect more downside. But nope, we haven't seen that. Price recovered the low very well. So now I'm looking for a pullback and more upside. I'm actually going to use the VWAP from that low there. I'm looking to see if I can get a pullback into the VWAP from here. If you can reject the VWAP and hold, I'll look for a long off the back of that. Targets will be this high, and then secondary targets will be this high there. And Aussie CHF, a very similar trade as well. If you look at this trade, it's basically the same trade, so I'm not going to take them both. But you can see, again, we've got this range. Price is trying to expand lower, failed there. Took out this low, failed there as well. Then suddenly we get an expansive move higher. But as soon as price takes the highs, we come straight back down. So yes, technically it's a breakup structure. But when you're looking for breakup structure for a reversal, you want to make sure the breakup structure is meaningful. And that's where a lot of people trip up. A lot of people look at structure like this, and then price will break structure, and they're like, okay, yeah, it's reversal now. Which, again, there is logic behind that. But if it's just a slight break, well, does this slight break invalidate this whole kind of momentum, especially when it's higher time frame backed as well? And you've got all this momentum, all this trend, especially in Aussie CHF case, which has been trending since potentially the beginning of time here. We've just been going down. So does that slight break of structure invalidate that whole trend and say that we have to go up? No, probably not. And that's really what you're looking to do. You're trying to focus on probabilities. Probability is it's not. Therefore, probability is that we go the other way. So with this, I am now looking to see if we can pull back again into VWAP as well. Like I said, it's a very similar trade to Euro Aussie long because I'm basically selling Aussie there. So I'll look to take one, but again, looking for pullback into VWAP and then expansion lower, back to this low, back to this low. And if we're really lucky, maybe the all-time lows as well. And that could be a really nice risk reward there on that trade. So there's a lot of opportunity, especially swing, especially regarding Aussie as well. So I'm being cautious there because you got Aussie New Zealand dollar, you got Aussie CHF, you got Aussie CAD I'm watching. I don't really have a trade for. We can touch on that. No problem at anime. Like I said, just focus on price. Easier said than done, absolutely, but it's the important thing. So do you have a lot of Aussie pairs, which you have to be careful I don't double up on and overdo it. But yeah, that is definitely on the watch list for Aussie CHF. Dollar CAD I spoke about earlier. Excuse me. Dollar CAD I spoke about earlier. Looking for a bigger pullback and then some more downside. This is the support area. I'm looking for price to come back and retest as resistance and see if we can hold that low essentially. And then there's a lot of room to the downside as well. And that's one thing I'm going to prioritize a lot more next year is making sure that I'm focused on trades that have good risk reward potential. Because at the end of the day, you're going to risk 1R on every trade you take, or hopefully you're going to risk 1R on every trade you take. Therefore, you need to make sure that the potential rewards, if things go well, is worthwhile. If it's always a one-to-one, again, there's nothing necessarily wrong about one-to-one. You can make one-to-ones work. But especially if you're swing trading, it doesn't really make sense because you have to win a lot more than you're going to lose. If you can have 3, 4, 5R potential on your winning trades, well, then that puts the pressure off you. You have to win more trades. You can lose more and still make very good progress in your trading. That's really going to be my focus next year. Is not so much taking, okay, this trade's a 1-to-1, this trade's a 1-to-2, this trade's a 1-to-5. It's more so, I don't really want to waste my time on anything less than a 1-to-3 or 1-to-4, really. And that way, naturally, it will pick up your risk reward, your average risk reward. It probably will drop your average win rate, but you can still compensate that by focusing over quality over quantity, and naturally, it should improve your expectancy as a trader. But yeah, as I mentioned, dollar CAD, just looking for a pullback into that level and some shorts. Euro CAD, I like the room to the upside. It's just the entry is very, very sluggish right now. I've been looking at Euro CAD. Initially, I was bearish because we went and swept some monthly highs here, but we're failing to expand lower, which is a key characteristic, especially because I was going through Euro CAD and data specifically on the daily chart to looking to see how price interacts with highs. Every time price does take out a major high, normally it leaves a wick, and then it will expand lower very quickly. And if it does that, that normally means reversal. And you can see that, happened over here. We took out the wick, very rapid reaction, price pushed down. You can see here, very rapid wick there, price pushed down. Even dating back over here, you can see price took out of a wick, really aggressive push down. And even over here too. Of course, it's not going to happen 100% of the time, but a lot of the time it will do that. So this is unique. This is slightly different to the previous characteristics we've been seeing at major highs. This is not that, which is a big sign. Now, that doesn't basis the trade. That's just one thing I was paying attention to, which justified me still looking to long. Because one way to back test with a lot of use, because a lot of people will back test just to support their own beliefs, which means you will have an idea like a break and retest, and then you will go and back test to find every time that back and retest, the break and retest worked, which doesn't really help you because you already had the belief that break and retest work, and now you're going to see if they do work. What you should do is have the belief that break and retest work, and then go find examples of where the break and retest doesn't work. And then that becomes your confluences or your filters to not take a trade. Because if you always take every break and retest, you're going to get very mixed results. But if you have some filters in place, confluences in place that allow you to take the best ones, the ones of high quality, well, then of course that's going to improve your trading. So a great way to use back testing is not just to go, okay, how do break and retest form on Euro USD? It's how, ask yourself, how do they not perform? What are the characteristics? What the context? What's the situation where breaking retests do not form well? Well, if you can know that very well, then all you're left with is the trades that actually do work well. So you're kind of reverse engineering actually a good strategy, which is a really good way to use back testing, and not a lot of people look at it like that. Anyway, in terms of EuroCAD though, again, you can see we've got that shallow pullback. We failed to expand low, which is very important. We had this massive big bearish candle, which broke lows, but price didn't continue lower. It quickly reclaimed that low. And also, you can see prices still respecting some key areas of demand here, which is, of course, a major characteristic that keeps us bullish. We did this over here, massive consolidation, price broke up, retested, continued. We sort of had it back over here where we came back to retest this kind of giant area of control. That is not what I meant to do. We sort of had it here. It's not a very good example, but we had this consolidation and price came back to retest that and maintain support there too. So what I want to see is evidence that these patterns are happening currently, which is a very powerful aspect, because it's not like, okay, they've happened before. It's like they're happening now. Therefore, I want to take advantage of them now. So you can see prices tap back into this level. Nice reaction there. I'm looking for price to now basically finish this correction and expand back to highs, back to 1.645. The only thing I'm struggling with is just finding a good entry with this. It's just very flat right now. So I potentially might look to see if we can break out of this range here, see some momentum, and then I'll see if I can enter another retest of a VWAP. And that will be a nice way to protect my stop loss and still take advantage of the move and still target these highs with, again, a healthy RR on that trade there as well. So EuroCAD's on the watch list. Aussie CAD is on the watch list just for purely observation. There is no trade here. You can clearly see that we're still very much in a range. So you got the equal highs roughly, and then you got some lows here of equal magnitude as well. So we're not really getting much direction here with Aussie CAD, but because of that, it means that there's opportunity coming. When price is consolidating, it means it's about to expand soon. And if you can ride that expansion, again, should produce a big move. So what I'm looking for Aussie CAD is to see what price does at this area here. Because similar to EuroCAD, we've got a nice big demand zone resting below. Is price now going to push into this area and then quickly recover this low? Well, if it does that, that tells me that this, again, not seeing much expansion lower. Sellers are not really in control. Buyers still the predominant force. I would then expect us to push back to highs, and that becomes my trade. So that could be a nice opportunity for Aussie CAD. Equally, if price was to go and break through that zone, let me have that back again. If price was to go and break through that zone, then that tells me, okay, buyers like this, buyers are not in control again. We're not seeing evidence that we're respecting these areas. We've got a complete break of structure outside this consolidation. And at that point, I know to look for pullbacks and look for shorts, at the very least to push back to here. But there is even more potential there, but I probably won't swing the trade that far. So yeah, Aussie CAD's one to keep an eye on. Again, this is probably for the next maybe 2-3 weeks. Potentially Aussie CAD can be a bit of a slow moving pair sometimes. So I've just thrown it into the watch list just in case as we develop. No problem, Beautiful Heart. I love the name as well. Appreciate it. Like I said, guys, if you're enjoying the content, drop a like, subscribe. It does really help out. And of course, any requests on certain video topics, let me know as well. I'm making a list of some video titles to do for the channel. If there's any particular requests, let me know. But yeah, Aussie CAD is just purely for observation right now. There could be something forming, but nothing of that nature just yet. And like I said, I just got taken out short on Aussie New Zealand dollar. So I will see if there's some re-entries. If not, no harm, no foul. Yen pairs, I don't really have much to say in terms of my personal trade, just because they're so bullish. I need them to start retracing like dramatically before I start looking to buy them. So yeah, I don't see much opportunity on the yen pairs yet. I still do see opportunity as in they still got more upside to deliver, especially like dollar yen. We've still got major highs here, prices like to take out. Therefore, I would like to see if I can participate in that, but of course only if it fits the plan. New Zealand yen, this one's got a lot of room to the upside, so I see opportunity here. Just looking for a setup that fits the plan there. CAD yen likewise, Aussie yen likewise as well. So the yen pairs look good in terms of, yeah, they've got room to run into. It's just I don't have a trade. They're just too bullish right now. And then USD pairs, euro and pound are my main focus. Aussie dollar, I do think there's upside. It's just we're very choppy. This to me almost looks like consolidation. So we might see price run back to highs and then maybe sell off from there. I don't really see it as a like clear high probability opportunity. New Zealand dollar still looks pretty bearish to me. Predominant trend still down. So definitely not taking buys. Any sells? No, nothing quite yet. I like the way we took at the high and then recovered, but we haven't really seen much momentum there. So that doesn't interest me much. And then dollar CHF, just pure consolidation. Pure consolidation. So I do not see a trade. And then crosses, there might be some potential. A lot of them are still quite bullish. No setup to trade them though. Again, that fits my plan. No problem, anime. Happy to help. What's your opinion on silver? Silver's just a runaway train, isn't it? Silver's just a runaway train. You just looking to keep buying. I do think there's going to be a wicked crash. I don't mean crashes and like zero. I mean just mean as a something like this. A big monthly candle that eradicates maybe like 20% of our gains, just because we're kind of overextended now. If you look at the prior bullish cycle over here, and then look at this bullish cycle, we just about pinched it and came back down. Now, if you look at the current bullish cycle, we're absolutely exploding past that. So the proportionate previous bullish cycle, we're proportionally a lot greater than that. So the market is very, very overextended. So buying here, the only reason why you should be buying silver here is because you're kind of intraday or intra-week taking advantage of current momentum and you're selling at highs, or you're just leaving a trading stop loss and you're aggressively trading it. There's no swing trade opportunity here for silver anymore. The price is now at areas where if there's actually a good sell swing trade, it's actually not a bad idea if there's a good setup and justification for it, because we're so overextended. But yeah, the best way to trade silver is just intraday or maybe intra-week, just buying the dips until proven otherwise, because who knows how much. We might be overextended, but we might still be overextended for like another month. You don't want to be in a situation where you say, okay, the market's overextended, it has to drop. Well, it's true, but you don't know when, and there still could be 5, 10 great buying opportunities between that happens. So you still want to take advantage of that. You just know that, okay, you're not holding this to the moon. And if you see a massive drop down, you're not surprised either because you're expecting it. But yeah, silver still looks pretty bullish. I actually think this looks like a nice buy setup here as well. Price looks really corrected, very flat, still kind of just sweeping the lows out here. Another rollover, test this area well. I think that's a nice buy. Still staying in line with structure. There's no heavy selling pressure, no significant break of lows. Market still looks very bullish to me. Next big psychological level is 70. That could be a bit of a psychological target for silver. Maybe some traders looking to take profit there. Potentially, it's not guaranteed. We've never been at this prices before, so we can't take that with too much certainty, but there is potentially a draw on price to that level. So yeah, silver still looks very bullish, definitely more bullish than gold, a better buy than gold actually, just in terms of market structure and trend alone. Yeah, still looking very bullish. So I like the buy here, 64, retest the lows. You got significant bullish pressure below. If you can react to that well, it looks like a nice trade to me. Gold, we had that kind of weird wick yesterday, which has made things a bit awkward. So you got the highs, and then we had that piercing wick, and we came straight back down. Again, this wick doesn't do anything really in terms of, okay, oh, it's a big wick, we're going to sell off now. Absolutely not. That's not the case. I mean, we could do that. All I'm saying is that wick doesn't mean we are going to do that. If you look at the context, that's just a very small wick in a very bullish trend. And if you're going to look too much into that wick, and think reversal, then you're not really looking at the bigger picture well enough. Again, it's all about probabilities. I'm not saying we can't reverse. I'm just saying the likeliness is very, very low that we're kind of lower time frame is going to do much damage. So therefore, the bias still remains bullish. In fact, what it does do is if we do retrace, it actually gives us opportunity to find some longs a little bit deeper, which would be nice. We'll position better, buying from better value, better stop losses, and better risk reward potential there as well. So I still do like the opportunity for longs at 42.40. I still do think higher highs are pretty likely too. We are failing at highs there, so that's a bit of a red flag to be trying to long gold here into resistance. I would wait for that discount there, that pullback, and then you got some healthy levels there, provided we reject well to take some longs, especially if you're looking for a swing trade. So I think there's a good opportunity there on gold. But I think silver just looks a lot cleaner. So I'd rather focus my attention there, at least for now. But yeah, guys, we have reached the end of the stream. I do appreciate each and every one of you tuning into the stream. I do really appreciate it. If you have enjoyed the stream, drop a like, subscribe. It does really help out. Share it with your friends, your trader friends or your non-trader friends as well. More the merrier. But yeah, guys, if you have enjoyed the content, drop a like, subscribe. Check out the memberships. I do provide my trade ideas there, further trade breakdowns, analysis, technical videos there as well. So if you do want to see a little bit more from the channel, check out the memberships. As always, on the weekend, I'll post my recap of the week and forecast the next as well. So do look out for that video. We do have the holidays next week. It is Christmas. Is it next Thursday or Friday? So markets will be closed by then. I do expect next week to see less volume. So I still will be trading up to pretty much the holidays. But you're taking that with a pinch of salt. You're not expecting crazy moves. But post New Year's, it's back to business, really. So yeah. But guys, hope you have a great weekend. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a great Friday as well. And like I said, check out the week analysis that is coming out on Saturday. But till then, have a good one and take care.